What is Carnival?
Carnival traces its roots back to ancient spring festivals, later adopted by the church as a farewell to meat or carnevale before the fasting of Lent. Over time, it has blended with diverse global cultures to become a powerful form of expression. Today, it has evolved into a worldwide phenomenon, from Brazil's samba parades to Venice's historic streets, remaining a vibrant communal celebration of music, dance, and collective human joy.
Carnival as we know it today is a cultural synthesis. From Catholicism, we get pre-Lent feasting, mass balls, street parades. From indigenous America, we get featherwork, body paint, ceremonial rhythms. And from West Africa, we get drumming, dances, costuming, and masquerade. These all form to create the melting pot that is Carnival. All three are fused into samba, calypso, and steel band sequence costumes. Creole people were a bridge whose parts came with all three cultures. This bridge was built everywhere that these cultures could merge. It wasn't brought from place to place. It was there to begin with. Mardi Gras. French explorers Iberville and Bienville celebrated the first Mardi Gras near modern New Orleans on the Mississippi River. It was at a muddy campsite that they named Point du Mardi Gras, or Fat Tuesday. The city was founded in 1718, where the French Catholic traditions of masquerade broke to the streets. The Spanish colonial powers decided the celebrations were improper and banned Mardi Gras. In 1827, Mardi Gras was brought back around 20 years after the Spanish left power. And in 1857, the first organized parade happened. Now, Mardi Gras isn't all wonderful. The cultural mixing pot and economic boom that comes with each year produces 10% of the entire city's waste. Only 3% of this waste is recycled. Around 1,800 tons each year.
Origins of Carnival in Brazil. Brazilian Carnival originated from a cultural mix formed during Portuguese colonization. Earliest base came in the 16th century, a tradition called Entrudo, a pre-Lenten celebration where people threw water, flour, eggs, and milk in the street. It was a chaotic, popular, and strongly strict base. Carnival later evolved through a cultural mixing. African influence brought through enslaved populations played a major role. It introduced drum-based rhythms, collective dance, and cultural expressions of resistance. These elements later helped shape samba. Indigenous influence also contributed through rituals, dance, spirituality, and community-centered celebrations, although its presence is less visible today. And the following influences blended together: Europe, with the street festival traditions, the Entrudo; Africa, the rhythm, music, and dance; and Brazil, with the cultural diversity and identity. From this mixture, the modern Brazilian Carnival developed, taking different forms across the regions. Carnival in Rio de Janeiro. In the 19th century, Rio de Janeiro had an important carnival, but it did not represent the whole country. It still included European-style masked balls and remnants of Entrudo traditions. Between the 1920s and the 1930s, samba schools emerged. These were community organizations representing neighborhoods that began organizing competitive parades, helping establish samba as national cultural symbol. The rise of Rio's global fame. Between the 1950s and the 1960s, television and tourism made Rio's carnival widely known across Brazil. In the 1984, the Sambódromo Marquês de Sacapuí was built, designed by Oscar Niemeyer, transforming the carnival into a highly organized, televised global spectacle. From the 1990s onward, Rio de Janeiro became internationally recognized as the face of Brazilian carnival. Carnival across Brazil. Even though Rio is the most famous, carnival varies greatly across the country. For example, Salvador has massive street carnivals with trios eléctricos. A trio eléctrico is a large sound truck with live musicians on top that moves through the streets with people following, dancing, and celebrating during Carnival. Linda celebrates with giant puppets. Recife, Frevo, and Maracatu celebrate with a strong Afro-Brazilian roots, while smaller cities do local community celebrations. Many of these traditions are equally old or even more rooted in local culture, but less globalized than Rio's version. Brazil does not have one carnival, it has many regional carnivals shaped by different stories and cultures. Rio became the global symbol due to media, tourism, and large-scale organization, but it does not represent the entire country's traditions. Cultural importance. Carnival is more than a celebration, it is a cultural expression of identity, story, and community. Each parade tells a story, and each region uses Carnival to preserve its traditions. It is also a major economic event, generating millions of temporary jobs in tourism, entertainment, and production industries. Origins of Trinidad Carnival. Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago originated during the 18th century when French colonists brought pre-Latin masquerade balls in celebrations to the island. At the time, only the European elite participated. Following the abolition of slavery in 1834, formerly enslaved Africans began celebrating Carnival in the streets. They blended the European tradition with their own music, dances, and cultural practices, transforming Carnival into a symbol of freedom, identity, and cultural expressions. African influence became the foundation of Trinidad's Carnival. It introduced rhythm, drumming, dance, storytelling, and community participation. Over time, these traditions evolved into musical styles such as calypso, and later soca, which became the soundtrack of Carnival. European influence remained visible through masquerade, costumes, and celebrations before Lent, while Caribbean traditions gave the festival its unique identity. These influences blended together. About Europe, masquerade bells and pre-Lent celebrations. Africa, music, dance, drumming, and cultural expressions. Caribbean, local traditions and national identity. From this mixture, the modern Trinidad Carnival developed. Trinidad Carnival. After emancipation, Carnival became a public street celebration open to everyone. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, calypso music became an important way to tell stories and comment on politics and society. In the 20th century, steel pan, the only acoustic musical instrument invented in the modern era, was created in Trinidad and became one of the country's greatest cultural symbols. Around the same time, soca music emerged, adding faster rhythms that encouraged dancing during Carnival. Modern Trinidad Carnival. Today, Trinidad Carnival is one of the largest and most influential carnivals in the Caribbean. Its main traditions include masquerade, colorful costumes, and street parades. Joubert, a celebration before sunrise where participants cover themselves in paint, mud, powder, or oil while dancing through the streets. Soca music, energetic music that defines the carnival atmosphere. Steel pan bands perform featuring Trinidad national instruments. Unlike Rio de Janeiro, Trinidad's carnival is less focused on competitive parades and more on active public participation in the streets. Carnival across Trinidad. Although Carnival is celebrated through Trinidad and Tobago, the largest and most international recognized festivities take place in Port of Spain. The other cities and the island of Tobago celebrate with similar traditions, but on a smaller, more community-focused scale. Cultural importance. Carnival in Trinidad and Tobago is much more than a festival. It celebrates freedom, creativity, and cultural identity while preserving African and Caribbean traditions.
In regards to the Quebec Winter Carnival, the Quebec Winter Carnival finds its roots in the early traditions of New France, where settlers gathered for a final spirited feast before the rigors of Lent. Officially launching as a large scale festival in 1894, it has designed itself to transform the harsh Canadian winter into a time of joy, today remaining a world-renowned celebration famous for its iconic mascot, Bonohome, its towering ice palaces, and its ability to turn the deep freeze of February into a vibrant communal tribute to perseverance and winter revelry.
You have 10 seconds to respond to each question. Final reflection. Carnival is more than a festival. It's a celebration of culture, history, and identity. Although every country celebrates it differently, they all share the same purpose: bring people together through music, dance, creativity, and tradition. Carnival reminds us that cultural diversity is something to celebrate and preserve for future generations.